discharge. Such as the young man that did the pointing and thing. He's no longer with us.
Okay, okay.
And because of that incident.
We have some other items tonight. I want to ask council
Okay.
what your pleasure. Council, you could decide, what say council?
5, 7, and 8 are my concerns. With the medication, the no wanderers will be accepted. I don't know how, I mean, some of these things to me seem like they're outside of you can't accept them because of, how do you know they're wanderers before they come? So.
That plus, if I leave the facility with a goal in mind, I know where I'm going, that's not considered a wanderer.
Do they
Because
write down where
I
they go every
have,
time?
yes, they have to sign out.
So the one that's
We
just
have a
standing on the
log.
street corner at Church and, no, not Church, 8th and Main,
Okay,
I mean, that,
they may write that they're going to the store or something. We don't know they end up on the corner unless you call us and let us know. And then we can deal with it.
You have a logbook, what you're saying.
They have a sign out logbook, yes.
And so if I was to call you and say, Joe Blow is up here on 8th and Main, you can look at the logbook, and he's supposed to be at Dollar General, then what happens?
Then we will get with him and let him know that if you continue to go to where Eighth and
Loiter, if he's loitering,
whatever,
right.
then we will give them a notice to move.
Of course, if he's smart, he can say, I'm on my way, I'm taking my time today. But like I said, these get into the human rights issues, that there's only so much that this council can do when it comes to those constitutional human rights issues. What does council wish to do tonight? Do you want to try 3 months? Here's one possible scenario for try a 3-month time period to see how this goes. If we all agree to call Clay, see how that goes, and then maybe go to 6 months. Go 3 months from tonight. The question for the council is whether council wants to renew the permit, revoke the permit, or impose new conditions on the permit.
And any of those, I think, require planning commission review.
Okay.
Prior to. I think you, as council, are entitled to say 3 months, 6 months. I think that's within your purview, but if the conditions change or the properties change, I do think as a planning commission.
well, that is a condition, so that still has to go to planning commission.
Well, I think that this council needs to make a statement. I think council could make a statement tonight, 3 months, everyone gets your house in order, answer the phone, and then if we want to change conditions, that would go to the planning commission.
Anything-
Is that right?
Any modifications will go back there.
Right. I don't think anybody tonight wants to say 2 years, have another 2 years, without any more oversight.
Okay, and what we will do, we will document the people that actually do call with complaints.
Absolutely. I think if I call, I can't just say I'm John Doe. I gotta give you my name. I'll give you my
Exactly,
name.
and then say that at least we're receiving the calls and not say, okay, I attempted and I couldn't reach anyone.
And you make sure your staff knows that they will be getting calls. I mean,
What's the number, 4497? I used to know it by heart.
4497, right.
Don't ask me how I know that number. Don't ask me how I know. Her birthday's December 12th. I remember these things.
so that way there is no excuse to say, oh, well,
Right.
we didn't receive the call or whatever.
Right,
We
but,
need to make sure that the other end of the line is receptive.
right, but please, make sure that someone answers the phone.
Right. But one thing I want to show you also, just because you haven't been here and not on Facebook, all these various incidents that people told tonight, which may sound minor, what happens is most of these folks are in their daily life and it's like, oh, it's an annoyance. But what happened when Miss Bunnell had the incident on August 7th, it triggered a lot of concern in the community, and everybody all of a sudden is like, wait a minute, you've had issues too? I've had issues, and became this big, everyone finally got together and said, oh my gosh, we've got a real issue here. So I don't want you to think people are conveniently just picking on you at the podium tonight.
Oh, no, I don't accept it that way.
Good, I appreciate
I
that.
really wouldn't.
Right.
I would like Philip, being that you oversee the police, to inform that any calls that are made,
Reporting the.
reported to the facility as well. Don't just
Exactly.
take it and sit
And
on
I'll add to it, if
Exactly.
you can't get a hold of the facility, and you can call town hall, and Jennifer or I, who know what's going on here, you can speak to either one of us, speak to the town clerk, town manager, and if somebody contacted us and said, there's someone urinating, or I saw somebody loitering or doing something that was irritating in the neighborhood, then we can contact you again. So we know how to get you. I can drive over and not even know.
But I think it should be known that if a police officer is called out for that, then the police officer needs to go to the facility and talk to somebody at that facility.
I just drive
and let
by and
them
say
know.
call unfounded. I just drive, I know nothing yet,
Don't
unfounded.
see anybody.
Right, right.
And if he don't see nothing, he should document that too.
Exactly.
I mean, you know,
If the police
Absolutely.
department's called for any purpose,
He
whether
doesn't-
they make a report or not, they should still report
Right.
it.
But I think it's gonna be more, what I'm hearing tonight, folks, is what I'm gonna do, I'm calling 4497. I just think it's gonna be more effective, more time, I'll make a note of myself, but I think I'll get more response quicker and not maybe burden the police unless it's really serious. But either, all of the above work, police, town hall, 7251, or 4497, 292-7251.
Oh, that's the town, okay.
I saw one more hand, then we're gonna go to the next issue.
I just wanted to ask you just one question regarding the medications and what Mr. Morgan had brought up as far as the medication text. You said that, the last review was on September 10th, and are you all making steps to deal with the issues of why staff maybe isn't notifying? I mean, have you considered the staff that maybe they need more training, because that was one of the violations, that your staff did not have their adequate annual training. And are steps being made to be sure that was one of them, that physicians are notified, because some of these problems could possibly be handled if residents were taking their medications. And I understand about private pay, I understand about Medicare. I said I work with 60 of them. I manage 60 residents who have varying degrees of how they pay. There are resources out there, and we can't leave residents with mental illness, even though I understand about refusal. But we have to, it's our responsibility to help ensure that they do take it so they can be as healthy and as high functioning as they can possibly be. So some responsibility and accountability does have to fall on the facility if this is what you're going to promote yourself as doing. So I'm just wondering, do you plan to hire or train your staff, or are you working
We
towards
can
working
retrain,
with your?
but what needs to happen, we need to make some, additions to the Medicaid laws. Because that is one of the reasons why medication isn't available. And that's something I'm afraid we don't have control
That's
over.
above our,
I wish we did.
Right.
But the
we
physicians
don't.
need to be aware of that, and that doesn't have anything to do with paying or not paying.
That can be, that will be taken care of,
Okay.
taken care of.
I want to thank the people for speaking tonight. Councilwoman Hasbrook.
I believe Clays is in my ward, Ward B,
Yes.
and I would like to work with the administrator. I used to work in a long-term care facility eons ago, and I did activities. And I would like to meet with you and see how we can be, as a community, to kind of bridge some of the gaps that you're describing. Okay?
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. Thank you, Ms. Hasbrook. Does the council wish to make a motion tonight? Wish to go 3 months, 6 months? Come back at a later date? What's your pleasure?
I make a motion for 3 months.
All right, I want to recognize Ms. Sheila Jones, Councilwoman Jones.
Okay, well, I was gonna say the 6 months, because based on from what Ms. Hicks is saying, a whole lot of the calls she don't know anything about. And I feel that she needs to have the time to be able to correct the situation. You know, I mean, you can't correct something if you don't know a whole lot about it. So, I mean, do we feel that 3 months is enough time to give her to, correct that?
Fair point, fair point. Mr. Morgan, you want to withdraw, make a new motion?
I'm gonna stick with the 3 months. I think that's, because I think we're aware of what's, and I don't, if it's something as far as medication and whatnot, then that can be handled within 3 months.
Okay.
I think personally, if Ms. Hicks actually has staff meetings, a lot of it can be fixed by just making newer staff aware that, you know what, in 3 months we're going to be reviewed again, so we can tighten ship. And I think a lot of it could be resolved by then. So.
And not to mention, if we got police officers getting called and they're going to the facility, actually physically talking to someone instead of just disregarding and going back on the road and citizens calling, I think that's gonna be an adequate time.
So Mr. Morgan has a motion on the floor to extend the permit for 3 months, which will put it to February 14th. Is there a second to that motion? Mr. Nash is second to that motion. Discussion. This is the month of November. Where are we on the roll calls? Ms. Hasbrook.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Time.
Nick,
Motion carries 5-2. Folks, I want to thank everybody that came tonight. If you don't think it's an important issue, the discussion tonight shows it was an important issue. I'm glad we took the time to hear everybody. And thank you for coming tonight, and if you wish to stay, we've got some other items to discuss tonight on the agenda. But we will please ask the clerk to put this back on the agenda for the month of February. And meanwhile, I assure you that everyone here tonight is going to call and not just be a critic, anything we can do to help. We stand willing to do that as well. And I thank y'all all. Our next item on the agenda is a transportation resolution. Mr. Van Norbeck. Thank you, Ms. Hicks.
Housekeeping matter, you guys had already authorized acceptance and execution of necessary documents.
Yes.
VDOT didn't notify us, and this is a TAP 20, this is the grant to build the walking trail at Wigglesworth. They do require a formalized resolution, which is probably in excess of the authorization you provided earlier to sign the documents, and this, I believe, is the mayor executed. But this is a housekeeping matter as requested by VDOT.
It's in your ward. You want to make, is it your ward or is that Christmas? Doesn't matter. Who wants to make the motion?
I make a motion that we accept TAP 21 resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made, duly seconded, and thirded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. You have the itinerant, what are we waiving the itinerant merchant license? That's for Thanksgiving Day. Oh, no,
We've had
that's,
a request,
oh,
we've had a request for
I'll get it.
Yoder's Donuts to set up, and
Bevel's.
even though we're not having the trains, I think that they're still interested in doing that. And I guess the request would be anybody that sets up, if that is gonna be the case, that we're gonna allow people, itinerant merchants, remember, they're not supposed to be on town property. Ordinance is the
My concern is you open a
establishment.
can of worms.
Well, here, if we do this, I would, if council does some suggestion, right, I would notify people that we know that have been in these chambers talking about,
That
to
they
give
can
them the
all
same
go do that.
opportunity.
So
that-
if, literally, I guess the standards that were established, I don't know, back in the spring, early summer, say, not on town property and not in the historic district, and I think both of those things are taking place whenever Yoder's comes. They used to come, or have been coming, in cooperation with Body's trainers.
That's correct.
Right.
Now, this is a little, we have a new standard now for this year, and, are we, allowing Yoder's? to
So,
set up?
so say if the taco truck wants,
How's it different from the past year? Because itinerant merchants were basically allowed free reign through town, okay? Itinerant merchants are what we call, other people call peddler license, okay? And there was a question about a gentleman who had a food truck, or a food cart, and what were the standards that were permissible? And I think the town council kind of found some middle ground, that instead of somebody in a food cart who would be able to just set up in front of Mitchell's or set up in front of an established restaurant and open the doors to their food cart, that they set some standards of where they could and could not set up. And this just occurred probably last spring when we went through this, and the standards included not in the historic business district, which is a defined boundary, and not on town right-of-way, or, excuse me, town property. Right-of-way is okay. That's
This is town property. The
If it's
municipal
outside
parking lot
the
is town
historic
property. So the issue before the council is, do you want to waive that license requirement for that one day, for not just Yoder's, but for anybody
for anybody
on town property?
on town property in the historic business district, and would you waive the meals tax the request was made?
so,
No, the meals tax was
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I apologize.
so then the taco truck in Cambridge that sets up in Crew, can they come and request that
If they get a
Fourth of
500,
July?
They can, but I'm gonna tell you something, with no trains, God bless them for coming. God bless them for coming. I hope they sell a lot of donuts.
but the issue with the itinerant merchant is I don't think Yoder's has a $500 annual
No, and-
permit, and they only come once a year. That's
Do
where
they
the
get-
waiver of the
but-
taxes are.
But they're out there every year with us, so do they have it then or what? Because we all out there,
I think it's been, no, I think it's been an association with
we're out there,
Bobby.
Bubbles, every year. They're out there with the veterans every year. Huh?
He has not ever had an itinerant
Yeah,
merchant.
'cause he's out there every year with us.
Which,
That's what he's saying, that they,
It's a new rule that we set
the
in.
town council instituted this new policy in the spring.
Oh, okay.
We went through a bunch with the
Yeah,
with a
'cause I
food
know they're out
cart.
there
Yes.
every year with us.
so in other words, to make,
That's what I was saying, that.
to make Yoder's legal this year, you need to waive the itinerant license ordinance for that one day. For anybody that wants to set up on town property in the historic business district, not just
In the historic
Yoder's.
business district.
It's actually Yoder's, it's not Yoder's Donuts per se, it's Yoder's,
kitchen.
it's Mrs. Yoder's Donuts, isn't it? It's Mrs. Yoder's, Mrs. Yoder's.
So Billy, you just, or Mayor, you just said
call it
that
Bill.
I expect her to
anybody
come.
could set up anywhere in the historic business district, but we created this policy. For instance, Happy Cafe, they sell donuts. So this donut wagon or whatever could actually go and set right up in front of, to me, it needs to be, if we're gonna do it, it needs to be
Specific to that location.
Devil's parking lot.
Yeah.
To
you can't
Bubba's
say that
parking
it's
lot.
open to the
Good
whole
point.
entire-
Excellent point.
Because
Excellent
our point of contention with the whole policy was to be fair to the
Bricks and mortar,
restaurants.
to the bricks and mortar.
Are you sure they're coming this year?
The request
They
was that
requested it, so.
why the request is here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they gotta call.
So Mr. Nash is recommending, this could be a motion from somebody to make sure that if you waive it, it's specific to the municipal parking lot.
for one day, and that's the day of the
Right.
lighting and all that.
Right. What is council's pleasure? Ms. Thompson's moved to waive it for that location,
One day.
one day only. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Councilwoman Jones, a second. Any
And
further
that-
discussion?
That does include anybody if. the
Tasty
taco-
J's,
if
the taco
they-
truck,
They
anybody.
can come up there as well.
In the Bevel's parking lot.
One day.
Might have a crowd up there.
I mean, I'd love to see a food wagon
But-
night of the week or something.
Really, if anybody that really wants to get out there, really.
Zach, is the World War I thing gonna be back here that day, or is there anything going on that day in Bevel's parking lot?
Holiday open house.
Yeah, I know the holiday open house, but I
What
didn't know
time is that?
if there was anything specific.
They'll be gone by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause Old Yoda's doesn't stay no longer than 2 o'clock. They don't stay no longer than 2 o'clock.
Oh, they close early.
Yeah, they close.
Do
early.
they? That may be the case.
Motion has been made and duly seconded to grant the exception for that day only at that location for anybody with a food truck. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. You have a subdivision plat for narrow townhouses, 7 instead of 6, is that right?
7 units. This is a townhouse development which by zoning standards in the R2 district is permissible. We went to the Board of Zoning Appeals, if you remember, 2 months ago, and there was a variance request for the side yard setback. The adjoining property owner protested, and so the BZA did turn down the request. Any structures constructed will have to be 30 feet from Mr. Corley's property line, okay? Now, what is here before us is not a zoning matter. It's legal, it's by right. They're allowed to do those things. In the R2 district, the question before us tonight is the subdivision ordinance, and this one's new for me. And if you read the page, or the items that, the email that Tessie sent to me, she gave me a legal opinion on, because if you look at our standard subdivision ordinance in the R2 district, lots need to be typically 80 feet wide, okay? But because this is a townhouse development, you can see that Tessie referred back to the townhouse standard, and it does say the lot width can be no less than 18 feet. And if you look at these lots, each is in excess of 18 feet. Tessie's satisfied.
So she's okay with it?
I've never done one of these, and he intends on selling each one,
Yeah.
but because it's a townhouse. Now, if somebody wanted to come to me and say, I want to build a subdivision with little houses, no good. It has to be a townhouse specific
So
project.
on lot 1, it's 49 foot wide, front and back.
Right?
So they cannot build
Within
on the
30
30
feet.
feet.
That's why it's
So they've got
49.
19 feet technically, but whoever buys that will actually say they've got more land.
They got more land, but they've got to be set back 30 feet minimum from the, and the property line will be the center line of the wall between the structures.
Members of council, what's your pleasure? You've seen the legal review, the town attorney says it's okay. Council approval is required?
It is required.
Okay.
Planning Commission did review and recommended approval.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Hansberg's move, is there a second?
Second motion.
Ms. Jones, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I'd like to do goals at the end. Just 2 items I added to the agenda. One, on Taylor Bottom patrols, and I bring this to your attention just to let the whole council know. After the shooting in Taylor Bottom 2 Saturdays ago, I received had lengthy dialogue with several residents of Taylor Bottom about fear in the neighborhood. And I did communicate with the ward E-rep, Ms. Jones, and asked the chief to, as mayor, I don't like to make requests of town employees, but I did ask the chief if he would step up patrols, and I believe he did.
He's agreeable to all the above.
And I just wanted to see if council, do you think that may still be needed? Based on my conversations with residents, I think more patrols down there would be welcomed and be better, but as mayor, I don't feel like I really have the authority to say, guys, go patrol, whatever.
But I have told the chief the same. He and I have spoken, and Sheila had called me as well, and the chief is certainly agreeable to doing all the above, so irregardless of whether the direction came from you or me in that kind of emergency weekend situation, the chief will be doing additional patrol.
I mean, have our patrolmen not been patrolling down there? Have we?
I don't know. I mean,
To me, I think it's probably on a regular schedule, I would hope. anyway.
Not as much.
No, it's not.
The residents say it's not. The residents feel like they're
What
neglected.
have been
No.
occurring, no.
And
No.
is the issues happening in the evenings or nights or during the
But
day?
this was broad daylight at 1 o'clock in the
Broad
afternoon.
daylight. And what they're saying is they have not been getting adequate police protection.
I even had one resident down there who, like I said, we talked about civil liberties earlier. I've had some residents say that they wish they would do checking detail from time to time, or even, I hate to say this out loud, but let's face it, there was a police car broken down at the fire department parking lot for 2 days, made me make sure I come to a complete stop, and I finally realized no one's there. So if you get my drift, there are ways that.
I was just asking, I cut yards down there, and that's why I don't see an issue, but it must be the times that I'm down there are different.
Right.
But I think, I wouldn't say additional, I just think it needs to be even across the board. And we need to make sure that everybody actually the patrolmen do go down there.
If it's agreeable to you, we'll prepare a report of
Yeah, and just
the
to be
patrolling.
seen. I think sometimes maybe, you ride through there while I patrol, be seen.
At a minimum, we'll provide it to the
Be
police
seen.
employment committee. And
Maybe walk, get up and walk. That's what I think. That's one thing I want to bring to council and the town manager's attention. Now, the other issue here, I put the Armory on the agenda for this reason, and I think we'll discuss this Monday. Walter Mack, as you recall, in October, Walter Mack came before the council, and the council gave the Armory Group permission to fix up the bathrooms and to also possibly have youth basketball inside. I've had some folks ask me questions, the work continues to go on in there, and they've seen the lights on at night, and I got to thinking, someone made a point, so Billy, how much work has council authorized? And I said, well, I know the bathrooms, but I think that's it. Well, I think more work has taken place. I just think maybe as a matter of policy, whether it's a police station, fire station, armory, library, council should be apprised of what's going on, and probably need to bless it with permission. Just, the Armory, they're great people working in that building. I fully support what they're doing. But people have made the comments to me about they see the lights burning at night. And we all know in 2 months from now, when the light bills go out, these chambers will probably have a lot of people there. I just want council, I guess I'm asking you, do you agree with me that as work continues, council needs to be apprised of it and approve of it? Yes, Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, I'm supposed to meet Walter Mack there tomorrow afternoon, and he's gonna give me a walkthrough, and I'm gonna look at everything. I think the repairs have gone past the bathroom.
Right.
And
And,
I got a question too.
Well, as Mr. Morgan,
Okay.
and, we went over and over and over in the, Parks Recreation Committee the other night, we got 2 buildings over here on the school property that need to go.
Right.
We got this one that volunteers are putting time and effort into working, so, maybe we could look at other avenues to start maybe helping if we can, and looking for other avenues of possible funding, grant-wise or whatever.
Mr. Miller.
My question is, you're talking about playing basketball in an army. Well, I can simply tell you, and I'm gonna tell you, we will go to Dinwiddie and get net league before we play in an army. We will get waivers to go to Dinwiddie and play in that league.
Safety of the building is your concern?
That's right,
Okay.
because we have a packet, and this study was done in 2001.
This is,
B&B Consultants.
I
Right.
provided a copy to the
So-
committee the other night, if anybody else would like a copy.
And then
of
too-
the environmental.
Anybody that sits on this council and they don't listen to what their people in their ward tell them, then they shouldn't be up here. And my thing is this, y'all saying this money is volunteer money. You putting all this money in this place. So what you're showing me is, if somebody comes here and wants to buy this place, the first thing y'all gonna holler is, hey, first thing the volunteers gonna say, we got all this money in here. Where's our money going?
That's the risk they're taking.
Yeah, that's what you say now. There's too many questions that's unanswered about this project.
Well, that's what I wanted
But
to,
where do you plan on playing basketball at, if not in the Armory?
About what?
Where do y'all plan on playing
They
basketball?
been playing at the school over here,
Yeah.
and they've been playing in Crew,
But there is a-
primary school.
That'd be a problem with you playing there.
yeah.
Huh?
I mean, if you want to continue playing there, I don't see where it would
But
be
I
a
mean,
problem.
I don't understand where this thing came at. First of all, you didn't want us in the Armory to play ball. When we asked to play ball in the Armory, no.
Well, that was, I think that's been a change. I've always been pro basketball in the Armory.
No,
'Cause I
Bill,
coached.
Billy, now, come on there. You know.
I heard it. I heard it. I know
Okay,
I
you heard
I
it.
heard
You
it.
say we, that's not us that's
Right,
saying it.
right.
Okay,
Right.
now.
You say y'all, you gotta.
Okay,
Please.
when they went and asked
Talking
Walter
about
Mack
you.
about playing ball in the basketball in the gym over there, he said no. So now all of a sudden you figure to get some money, you're gonna go over there and you're gonna patch up the Armory and let my kids go in there and play? You're out your mind. So it's,
You can play wherever you want.
I think we need to get past the racing.
ain't nobody talking.
There's no race mentioned
There's
here.
no
Hold on,
race.
hold on.
What I say?
Black kids.
Hold on.
I did not. I'm talking about kids in general. I didn't say black kids.
Hold on,
No,
Mr. Taylor. Here's what I didn't bring this up to start a debate, but it's good that we hear what people think. My only question to bring this up is,
If you could.
I'm gonna recognize you, I promise you, is the repairs are being done to a town building, and I think the council needs to be informed. Walter Mack's preparing a written report to let people know what's being done, but I think as the volunteers continue, you might, as a matter of policy, want to make sure you know what's going on and either approve it or disapprove it. That's just that's what's been conveyed to me in the community. And someone said, Billy, what would be the difference if you go into the fire station and saying you want to add on a little, you're going to do it volunteer labor, but you want to add on to it? Council would need to approve that, I would think.
Okay, and my other question.
And then I want to recognize Mr. Taylor and Mr. Mitchell.
The
Yes.
people that live down there. Okay, suppose if I would go over there in your ward and I start tapping. Yeah, I got asbestos and I got all this over there. Don't you think that the people in that area needs to know what's happening in that area? I mean, it seems like to me, like the only thing you're using us for is to get our votes. Then after you get our votes, the hell with us. We're gonna do what we want
I
to
can't
do.
speak.
down there.
I can't speak for or against that. Mr. Mitchell and then Mr. Taylor. Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mayor, I think it was about 4 years ago, I can't remember how long ago it was, we had a meeting about this armory. And I was on the Armory Committee, and I withdrew because I guess he would say conflict of interest. But the thing was, I didn't like what was going down because they want to use taxpayers' money, and I said no. That was my feeling, and then everybody, most people in there said no, not to use taxpayers' money. I said I will not go against the Armory, but if they get collections or get more people to pay for it, I'd support them. I'm not using taxpayers' money. Raise money, well, they raise the money. That's what they started out. But now they're getting a little greedy. Want to go right back to where it was at first. Use taxpayers' money. I'm here to represent at least 25 people.
I don't think anybody's recommended using taxpayers' money for anything.
I'm saying, I'm the one said that. I said I wouldn't do it for cost taxpayers' money. And the people who was with me said the same thing. People I'm backing up right now, but because if you do that, then it's going off the whole thing. What you should have done is sold the building in the beginning and got it out the way. But you're gonna get this Armory here because it's got asbestos in it. I was surprised when someone having playing basketball. I went to review the building not about 2-3 months ago. No way in the world they could get all that pipe out of that building and do like they did, and to get it in working condition. We used that building before to play for roller skate Armory. I mean, the roller skate thing. That's all we used it for, and it was real. The floor solid as want to be, but the walls and all that stuff got asbestos in it.
The walls have lead, the
Not
pipe
walls,
got
I mean,
asbestos.
you know what I'm saying? I mean,
It was
in the building.
used for basketball back in the day, because I was on
Well, I'm not saying it wasn't used,
Joseph
because
Trump
I came here,
basketball.
when I came here, they used basketball, and they had the
I think the
basketball at
asbestos
school.
around the pipe
And
is
so it
lead
started
in
used
the
for
pipe
roller
in the
skate.
wall.
I want to recognize Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm a taxpayer citizen, don't shush me. Now, I wanna know, when you got the lights on, who paying for that?
the same people that pay for Wigglesworth lights, that pay for the basketball court lights,
Who
that pay
are
for the
they?
lights in here. Taxpayers?
The town of Blackstone.
So, our taxpayer money is paying for that light, paying for them lights.
But I want to rein this in. You're correct. You're correct. But
So
I want.
we paying for the light, you want us to go in there playing it, know it got asbestos, got lead, bathroom not working well. Why did they build 3 schools, Burkeville, Crew, Blackstone? You can go play in them gyms.
That's what we've been doing.
But they stated that they had an overflow issue, that they needed extra facilities. That's the only reason I think this, I mean, the rec said that they don't have enough practice facilities. And so we've got something there. Now, looking at Walter Mack, I haven't read the whole thing, but they have personally themselves talked with I don't know if they've met with them or will be meeting with them, a lead and hazard abatement company.
But let me clarify.
Nothing is asked out of us yet,
Right.
so.
Mr. Nash made a good point, though. I will tell you this, and everything that's been said, there's been a lot of good, accurate recollections. The reason, as a rec coach, I promise you this, yes, there are 3 gyms, and they're wonderful. But during the winter, you've got the drill team in there. You'd be surprised. I mean, some nights you can only practice one night a week, and it's half court. Walter Mack and Marshall, yes, sir, I promise you, a lot of times I go in there and the drill team is there. It's like we have practice. Anyway, this council, my main point of bringing this up is not to have a debate on the future of the Armory, because we know that's contentious. I just wanted y'all to, y'all approved bathrooms and basketball in October. The repairs apparently are going past that.
We might not be having basketball now.
You just authorized, I mean, you voted 7-0 in October to approve it. But if it's not safe, I can tell you right now, Marshall Martin's not gonna let kids in there if the building's not safe.
But what I'm saying was, if the auto connection been made right to have the approval to do this work in there?
I do not know the answer to that question.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You said you gave him permission.
I
to do
trust
that.
Walter Mack, I do. I trust Walter Mack with the air quality and that sort of thing, because he's a fire chief. I mean, he's a hazmat guy. I trust him, I really do.
What I'm looking at is for the town in the future, that things not done right, somebody got hurt in there or something, we got something on our hand. And I'm gonna tell you, the black community's not satisfied with that.
And that's what
I don't think any community will be satisfied with that. So we're gonna get away from the,
Yeah,
we gotta get away from
I think what needs to happen,
No,
I think we need, I think we need to go
we're
out
not
the
gonna put
street.
layers on anything, cause everybody's more concerned with everybody as a whole.
Let's talk
As
about
one
the
whole.
Because we're talking about.
As a whole, I think we need to go outside and get answers.
I'm going there tomorrow to see what all kinds of work.
I'm not talking about from these people. I'm talking, we need to go get straight answers, if it needs to be the Attorney
All
General
right, well, let's
or
do
whoever
this.
it is.
Let's have a
what I'm
Parks and
talking about.
Recreation Committee, and let's have everybody affiliated with the Army and what they've been doing.
I would not talk to Walter Mack, because,
Let's don't.
Well, I would talk to
I
him
would
when
not
he comes
talk
in.
to him, because the last time he came in here, he wanted to
Well,
hit
you
peanuts.
just show up and listen, and we'll talk to Walter
Yeah.
Mack when he comes.
I would not talk to him.
You were elected for a position, you need to sit up in here and listen to it just like this.
I do know that Walter Mack wants to give tours, but let's, all right, let's
We don't need
move.
your comments.
Let's end this issue. I'm sorry that I brought it up, but I felt like I had to.
Well, you need to bring it up because it's been idle for so long.
It has.
This is what needs to be happening.
I
Either
move to
get it rid
approve
of
that
it or
Walter
get it
Mack
fixed.
and the Armory Committee be able to do anything with their own money with that bill. I mean, if they need to paint, so be it. It's their money. It's not my money. It's not the taxpayer money.
It's the
Even
money that
tonight.
they raised for it.
Whatever they.
Okay, all right.
I mean,
Not counting the lights.
All right. Mr. Nash has made a motion.
Look up a meter.
Mr. Nash has made a motion. Is there a second to Mr. Nash's motion?
Second.
All right, Mr. Morgan is
So
second.
you're saying whatever they want to do,
if we come up next month and sell the building, that's their loss. That I mean,
They're
so
taking
be it.
risks by being generous.
It's their risk. It's not my risk. It's not any.
They're not using any taxpayer money at what they're doing. They raised money for that specific project.
Save us, Mr. Town Manager.
Nelly, wet blanket here. It's still our building. It's
That's what
still
I was getting ready to say.
taxpayer building, everybody here. I don't live next to it, I don't live in town, I don't pay the taxes, but at the end of the day, and trust me, this to be true, the town has the big pockets if something happens, okay? You can do what you want in the building, and that's all, but at the end of the day, if someone can link a problem that a child has had, or something happens, or.
All right, so
something
you
goes
recommend
down,
lock the door?
I think the town, no, I don't think that's necessarily the answer. But the answer is, I think where Billy's headed is, make sure council authorizes,
Yeah.
and things like
all I'm
environmental
asking
cleanup, the town, I'm not dying to do something else, but we can't allow the town and its residents to be exposed liability-wise. I think any of the abatement should be under the control of the town. Do I care about power washing? Probably not the biggest issue in the world. But abatement, asbestos, we need to make sure that that is done through a company that's independent and working for the town council and not doing it because Bill Clinton knows them or something like that. We
I
need
agree
to
with
have, if that's the case, and they can still pay for it,
We just need to see their qualifications.
we need to be
Correct.
involved in that
Documents.
procurement process. and all that
Nothing's
kind of-
been
That's gonna certify
done
it
by
and
the
everything.
Armory Group, and other than talking to people and saying, could you come look at something? No agreements have been made. So, and the company that is looking at the asbestos and the lead abatement, I know the company, we've worked with them. I am an environmental project manager. They are a highly respected company, so they know what they're doing. And everything they've been talking to them about was free. They're planning to do this free of charge because they want to do something for our community.
Before
and
the
our
basketball
kids.
season, correct?
Correct.
But I think that whatever clean bill of health the building's given that's owned by the town needs to see that clean bill of health and know that it's legit. Because not that we don't trust, just because it hadn't really been authorized by this council. Tom Taylor, and then we're going to vote.
Mr. Town Manager, didn't you say one time before that if they wanted to fix that building all up, they gonna call, you gonna have to raise your property tax, utility bill, and real estate tax to fix that up?
If the town were to participate in the cost of renovations, and if you looked at the most recent report, I think it was $2 million,
Yeah.
approximately.
It's about $4 million.
Well, there ain't $2 million laying around,
That's right.
okay? In order to service a debt of $2 million, there's gonna have to be general fund revenue to come up with somehow. We tried with the medical center, we thought we made people.
We had the cash cap.
I mean, we tried everything, but in the general fund, there's just not enough cash. And you'll hear next Monday night from our auditor that our general fund surplus, if you will, our net position has decreased. We actually were in the negative over $70,000 last year in the general fund. Some of that's self-inflicted with Dan's position changing from 100% electric to 67% general fund. So some of that is self-inflicted.
But right now, flush, how much cash the town of Blacksburg have? If we have to empty the bank accounts right now, what do we got, 3 million?
Everything,
Everything, just have to just pour it all out. Not that we're ever gonna do that, what do we got?
about $4.6 million.
And you wanna say,
Okay, but question.
Yes.
If the taxpayers, if we're not gonna do anything with this building, why we keep holding on to it?
That's been the question since
That's
1988.
that's what I brought it up last week.
Why we still playing around with it?
That's why I brought it up.
Here's the answer. Here's the answer that some people agree with. There's some people in town that have a sympathy for the Armory. The Armory's not really, Mr. Brunebeck, it's not really costing the people much. The lights being on certainly
Utility
does.
bill and insurance.
It looks better than it's looked in the last 20 years.
We keep liability
But
policy.
it's a fair question, and I know the Ms. Hasbrook's committee is still talking about the possibility of a referendum where we'll answer once and for all, what do Blackstone's people want to do? That's what everyone has their own opinion, but we don't really know. But then again, you look at the last election, we had a very spirited election, and voter turnout was 30%.
Again, that's why I stated that we need to have a referendum. I've
That's
talked about
right.
this for 6 years.
Well, you can do it.
And Eric,
You got time to do it.
Billy, I'm gonna tell you something. Billy, it's like this. Why do we keep prolonging? Why don't we put it on referendum and get it out the way?
All you gotta do is vote. You got time to go Tommy Wright in January. You can do it this year to get him.
Why don't we do it? We keep on playing with it, and the meanwhile, while you're playing with it, you're dividing people.
Well, and that's one thing I think all 8 of us up here do not want to. I don't want to divide anybody.
And listen, I was out there doing Buddy Poppy Saturday, and the topic came up. This here Armory is dividing people. You know, you think it's not? It is.
Well, if that's the case and you feel strongly, we do have time. And Ms. Hasbrook's committee is still studying it, but there is time. It won't be next month because Tommy Wright needs to have the proposed legislation to change the charter before January 1st. So if this council does lean toward answering the question once and for all, you've got to do it within 6 weeks.
Well, put it on the agenda.
Put it on the agenda, please.
I want a referendum. I mean, I've talked.
I do.
Well,
I want
let's remember that Ms. Hasbrook's committee has the issue. When will you all be meeting soon?
I think we tabled it last time, didn't we?
We did table it, but we're trying to come up with a date that we can meet. I think
Okay,
that's the problem.
then let's trust the committee process to work and have a report by the December council meeting. And listen, also,
enough time?
we're gonna have to have a special council meeting on goals and tourism possibly in early to mid-December before the December meeting.
I think tourism's now put off till January.
Okay.
And,
Well, we'll have a special meeting on the drop of a hat on their Armory if we
No
have
offense,
to.
but I mean, I'm on the committee, but at committee level, the 3 of us on there, we're not gonna feel comfortable making a recommendation
All right.
going. So
then let's go.
personally, and no offense, Ms. Hasbrook, but I think we're not gonna be able to sit there and go, oh yeah, we recommend to not do the Army Corps.
Then
We
activate
recommend to do
Tessie,
it."
tell her to draft language, and that's what you want to do.
Don't you think we should all get together and walk through there?
Absolutely. I think, sure.
I think we all should get together as one group and walk through.
We can do that.
We would very much love for you on December 3rd. You got a planning commission meeting scheduled, and that was one of the things I was gonna ask you tonight.
December 5th.
December 5th, if you guys would have.
That's a Wednesday night.
Meeting. And we
like
have a couple of things, one of them which is a abandonment of an alley on Academy Avenue that's really kind of holding up a sale. And, so, if you would continue this to December 5th, you wanna have the Armory on the agenda, go up there, do your.
But between now and then, I think Mr. Morgan's made a good point. Those of us who are interested and curious, I think we do have an obligation, if we want to see it, to see what's been done. And, it's not mandatory you have to go, but I think it's wise for us to go look at it. I've seen pictures that have been on Facebook, but I've not been in there since the wine festival.
Can regular citizens go with y'all in this?
Absolutely. It's your building. It's your building.
It's our building.
You guys, I will tell you, this is a study that's been referenced several times. The committee got a copy of this at the last time.
What was the cost to demolish back then? It was like $118,000 to demolish back in '01.
And I noticed too, and I don't know if this is intentional or unintentional, and if you read this, the samples that were taken didn't really cover the inside of the gym area, the asbestos
Right.
sampling. That was all in the basement and that sort of
Is it
stuff.
friable? See, it's friable is what kills you. It's friable when it's in the dust.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can crush it and
It's
breathe.
in the basement.
Okay.
Friable asbestos is in the
It's
basement.
actually in the crawl space.
It's on the pipes.
Okay.
It's the popcorny type stuff that you can.
And it's
brush it,
lead on
it
the
comes
paint
right off.
on the wall, right?
Okay.
The paint throughout the inside has got,
But not all,
US government.
only the green paint that's in the
That bit.
armory is what's lead. The white paint was not.
It's not.
If there were,
I take that back, that's not correct. The white paint is highly lead containing, yeah. That's why there's breathing
That was
apparatus
on the
required to
brick,
scrape
or
the
that was
paint.
on the other
On the
stuff.
brick, on the
See,
inside.
that's why we stopped using this for storage for our food bank.
What do we want the kids
We just use it for
to?
food
Yeah, I'm not
bank.
gonna, if there's any risk, I'm not practicing it if there's any risk to my children or my girls. But
Billy, if,
yes.
Mayor, sorry.
You can't call me.
If there were anything, if there were a referendum
Yes.
voted to proceed with the charter change and allow referendums,
Right?
two things. Does it have to be specific to an issue?
Yes. And you're allowed to change the charter and say capital projects of a certain point, and you can, yes,
Okay.
you can do it, and then you can also make it be non-binding.
Gotcha. And then also, since obviously we're up here for 4 more years, like it or not, whether we like it or not, when would the next, could it be voted on when?
Well, here's the
If there's
thing.
a charter change?
What you're gonna have to do, in my opinion, you can't wait 4 years.
No.
But a town referendum will require us to vote in our town wards. It would be a special election. I wouldn't do it in November because that'll be confusing with the different precincts. I would pick it, June has been a time in the past, the town had referendums, dog and fluoride were June of the 50s, June of the 80s. It'd be up to y'all.
So we've done referendums before.
Yes, we have, but never under the ward system.
I'm not sure that the charter changes would be fully realized until the 1st of July. I think any action.
Correct.
From the General Assembly in January, February.
That's right.
July 1 when it happens. So I think your formal authorization would start July 1.
So, I mean, it could be a July referendum vote or
Could be.
August, whatever. I mean,
I do September when people are on vacation personally, just to make sure, but that's up to this council, and it may be the answer, because I can tell you right now, I'm gonna tell Mr. Taylor and everybody, y'all know I have a soft spot for the Armory, but if it means Division City, I defer to the will of the people. As much as I believe in the building and the volunteers, I do not want this town to be in a divisive, we've come so far.
Well, I think that's where me and Mr. Miller agrees. It's been out here for so long.
Y'all
And
right.
it's gonna cause heated discussion, but something has got to be done.
Right. I agree, kicking the can down the road, as Mr. Moncur would say,
Yeah.
is not good, and I've probably been guilty on that, but I will say this now. Our town, I've tried to, with the town manager said, he goes, Billy, y'all can have this discussion about Armory or community center swimming pool in November 2019 when we have the money to have the debate.
which is now different though, now that we've taken on East End Water and
Right.
Sewer.
So I've tried to follow his advice. I've been trying to avoid the conflict. I know the conflict is going to be debate. I'm not afraid of debate. But Philip has said, look, can you give me till 2019 on the financial end?
Let's do referendum. I've said it 100 times.
I've
Let's
said
do
it too.
Well, that may be where we're
I've
going.
said it.
The only other thing left on this agenda tonight is goals. If you like to hand me goals, talk about goals.
We have the banner also.
We have Mr. Yes, what is that request to waive the holiday open house permit?
I think you want to put it up tomorrow or very shortly.
I'd entertain a motion to waive the banner fee, which has been done in past years for the holiday open house.
Second.
Motion been made by Mr. Wilkinson, seconded by Mr. Nash. Any discussion?
Zach will just pay it out of his.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Hold on, before we go any further, there was a motion and a second to let them do whatever they want to in the armory. So do we want to leave that open or?
And
there was no vote?
I'll amend that to not anything environmental, meaning if they want to vacuum floors or whatever, that's,
Or paint?
or paint, I mean,
Spruce up?
that's not us in there. That's their,
But can you
Should
paint
somebody
over, why would you paint over top of that paint the way it is?
I don't think they're painting in the actual front, in the opposite.
All right, so here's a question. So should we contact them and say, you might want to hold up on everything instead of putting all this money in with the anticipation of basketball?
They're watching.
Until we know if we can get somebody in here to clean the asbestos and everything out of the bit.
I think maybe, if you stand by your motion stands. I think maybe okay. Your motion is to allow the Armory folks to continue to use volunteer labor
And do housework. I mean, that's really what they're doing. I mean,
beyond the bathrooms.
yeah.
Okay. You've seconded that motion previously.
Right, that,
Okay.
limited to that, I mean, if,
Well, I don't,
but in looking at
okay.
this, they got folks looking at, doors and
They can look
windows
at
and,
that. I mean, now, when they start replacing windows, yeah, they need to come back to us.
cause I'll be honest with you, I have not stepped in that building in years. I was gonna meet him tomorrow to walk through to see what all they've been doing, but I haven't been in there in years.
No, you couldn't.
Well, I've told Walter Mack that he needs, and he's actually submitted something in writing, and I've told him that you're probably gonna see council wanting to have oversight very shortly with knowing what else is being done. But Mr. Nash's motion is to allow the work to continue with volunteer labor, even if it's at nighttime, and you second the motion.
So is that housework? Is that what I'm putting in
Yeah,
there?
I mean, that's, I guess.
Cosmetic repairs
Cosmetic repairs.
inside
You're
there.
not getting an environmental.
They're not
issue.
replacing beams and
Windows.
that sort of thing. Motion been made and duly seconded. I'll ask for, just because of the nature of this, I'll ask for a roll call vote, starting with Ms. Hasbrook.
Aye.
No.
That motion carries 6-1. And the last item was I asked y'all to provide some goals, which I would like to, you can, and you're free to discuss them tonight if you'd like to, and I'm gonna try to like facilitate and put, like if 5 of y'all say we've gotta do X, and X will be on the list.
I'll mention,
Yes.
just, I mean, we don't have, then we'll hand them to you.
Sure, sure.
My number 1 was complete Wrigglesworth streetscape and safe ways to school. I think, I mean, that's very realistic. I hope that
It's, the state has allocated their funds.
resolve old school building dilemma. We're
Amen.
working.
I like the plan.
And 3, devise plan and begin to implement South Main Street sidewalk issue.
Very good, Mr. Nash.
Don't call him Mister.
I'll tell you.
I mean, especially the third one. I mean, that's a big issue. For instance, it goes back to Clay's assisted living tonight. One of their residents walks the white line, and I cannot believe he has not been injured by a truck clipping him or something.
South Main.
Poor fellow on the motorized hand,
Oh,
wheelchair.
yeah.
It's
Daily.
a miracle going on.
Billy's
Daily.
advertiser, yeah.
Yeah.
He does it daily, all right.
He's got that flag though, but he's got that flag that helps too though.
So it's not long, but I mean, we're blessed that nothing's happened on that road yet.
Here's the plan, just so you know, we have applied for a smart scale application one last time, okay?
We've done it for the
If
last
we don't
10
get it,
years.
I'm gonna come to council with a capital improvement project to put curb and gutter and sidewalk on the west side. It's not the preferred side, but it's the less expensive side, the side the Goodwill's on. And then we'll just fund it ourselves, maybe even apply for a revenue share 50-50 job with the state. But the expense on that, if you look, it's right-of-way acquisition and removing those utility poles, okay? VDOT, when they came up with it, and if you look on that east side, on the Pickett Court side, man, there's a gob of overhead utilities over there, and not ours. So they're expensive, we're gonna have to be charged
I
for
mean,
it.
I'd love to be able to have people to bike to the
In
shopping
the millions of
centers.
dollars, if we
That'd
don't
be
get
cool.
this smart scale, this coming year, I will, it's a revenue share year application.
Right.
And we'll start putting our money aside, and I would propose that we just
Like we did Nottaway Avenue,
start at
50-50.
10th Street, and just keep on going, and get on down to Fair Street, so somebody could have a, push a button and get the street lights to change, and the crosswalk, and get to Walmart.
Anyone else want to either hand goals in or discuss goals? It's open.
My number 1 goal is educate the people. That's let the people know what we're doing, because if you ever notice when people come to town council meeting, the first thing they say is, we don't know. So what I'm saying is, when we say we gonna do something, the first thing that we need to do is let the people know.
I think that's great.
That's my goal. Let people know what we doing.
Anyone else over to my right before
We're already, in a way, I guess, we will be helping citizens a lot, and it's already gonna be implemented with the budget bill, and that should help. So that will help out a lot. And I think there's probably ways in the program that when we send bills out, we can probably put messages on there too with this new program.
Right.
So we can educate somewhat. I mean, granted, you don't wanna put a lengthy,
I
something
think Mr.
short.
Nash has asked that we create a Facebook page as well.
Correct.
For the town.
And that's on
Not
the,
one that's gonna be a debate.
no, it's,
I ain't got time for that.
That's what my page is for.
it's on the agenda for the coming.
Agenda for Monday night.
Very good.
I have a list.
I know you do, and I'm glad to hear it.
I continue to work with our comprehensive plan, strategic plan, so make sure we have a current goal, 5-year, 10-year goal, and to have a retreat. Retreat sounds like vacation. I don't want it to sound like vacation. It's a time where we can get away and to really put some work and thought into it. I would like to provide free bus service for the voters in town during election times, so they don't have to worry about getting rides, they just call. And I would like to see that the wards do a friendly competition with their constituents for the Pick Up Our Pride at one time a year.
That's April, isn't it?
In April, it's closest to,
Earth Day.
Earth Day, yeah.
21st.
I'd like to see industry site-ready properties for future growth. Broadband, internet, or fiber optics.
That's a big plus.
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Internet is huge.
I think it would be neat to have a sister city to reach out with other other
like it.
cities. The Army was on that list. I'm not gonna go over that one now. But I think we need to be self-sustaining with the cemetery and the Armory. And that's a big issue for me. We're not. Well, how are we using our existing spaces? Are we using Miller Park for any kind of recreation right now? Can that be a neighborhood park for the kids?
It's owned by it's privately owned, but certainly
Oh, is
that's,
it?
it is, but that's
It was
okay.
talk- No, it was talk back when we built Wigglesworth of them deeding that over to the town to sell or to put housing over there. It was talk back then.
It was tough, it was.
Okay. The sidewalk to South Main was my list, and then this Facebook, social media. So that's mine.
I'll tell you what, between you two, I believe, and Mr. Transparency right here, I think those are great goals. I'm serious. I think we got a little long winded on that one in 2013, but I tell you,
18 goals.
there's some that are laughable, but some of them we achieved. You
The
know,
majority.
we achieved a bunch of them. Would you hand me that list? I'm going to put together for, we're going to have a meeting, looks like on December 5th.
That'd be great.
And Ms. Jones, anything you want to add or?
Yeah, I would say we need something for the youth, some type of complex. It's a whole lot of kids don't have like computers. You know, we need to do something where the kids can go if they need to do homework or something. You know, I heard a whole lot of discussion about we need something for the youth.
Not just recreation, but
Yeah,
culture or
swimming,
education.
Yeah, stuff, yeah.
That's partly what the Armory was trying to do. So, I mean, I think,
But
the
you
big
got
piece
too
of the
many
Armory though
people.
is misinformation too. There's a lot of people who think one thing and there's a lot of people who think it's something else. And I think that we need to get everybody out and so that everybody's on the same sheet of music. And everybody knows what it is that we're trying to do with that.
Well, I think that's because up until recently, you know, all the Armory supporters and whatnot, you knew, but nobody else did. You know, because it wasn't something that was advertised.
And the Goodwill Career Center actually offered those services, but I don't know if they even opened the Career Center.
They were going to keep the building open until it was sold, but my sister went out there the other day and said it was closed. And I'm
But it's not centrally located. We don't have sidewalks out there, so that's another.
But I mean, we can work on doing that if we could get that built. I mean, we could do a whole lot with that for the youth.
The library would be the library,
That's
which is a
another-
town-owned building,
That's another.
would be
point.
something.
See a lot of people in that library too.
That's another point.
Make sure it's got good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see a lot of
That, Sheila, you're right. I tell you, and I'll be honest with you, as much as I'm a sports nut, I tell everybody one of my biggest regret in life is quitting piano, quitting singing. That's the stuff, in public speaking, that's the stuff that takes a child for the rest of their lives and gives them confidence. In sports, guess what? The world's best softball player lives in Lunenburg County, and she was phenomenal. Arizona, went to University of Arizona, but after college, you know, it's back to get in the workforce. You know, but anyway, that's very good, very good. Mr. Morgan.
With the voter thing, I think it'd be a good idea to put, like when we have special elections or when like if you're ordinarily voting at the police department, then another election comes up like town council. How about putting voter location on the utility bill? Would that be a possibility?
We'll be able to. We'll be able to now.
I love it, Lonnie.
Yeah, we've been these little cards, and we're gonna have to have them.
Especially before an election when a lot of people get confused. Yeah, I
Like
like it.
you're flushing hydrants on such
like
a day, voter location, police
Part of the
department.
reason why we wanna do it.
the possibility of implementing an HR position in the department within the town.
Very good.
Financial workshop put on by Ms. Hardy, if she ever has a chance, for every 6 months or whatever, so we can actually sit down and instead of, sitting there hearing, this is on the budget and this is off of this and this is off of that, kind of bring it in more so we all on the same sheet of music, have the same thought process.
Philip will do that tomorrow if you want, because Philip loves
And-
talking money.
Give me the mic.
No, give it to Jennifer Hart.
You know, a lot of people in town have a problem with the budgets, the people who are paying the bills.
Help does a lot
We,
with it.
we have that in the help organization, we teach people on the budget, how to handle the budget. So
What-
it might
what-
be something to add with what he said.
Absolutely. What else, Mr. Morgan?
And last but not least, I would like to see when we have a regular council meeting, police presence in these chambers at each and every meeting, whether it be the chief
It's
or,
a continued meeting.
I think it's just the nature of the times, and it's
This
also,
is, but I mean
it also
on a
makes
regular
people
basis.
behave a little better. I think sometimes just if you see, not that no one misbehaved tonight, I just think it's good to have that presence. I agree.
Well, it's not our normal counting, but you never know what could walk in the door.
Well, we had some good debate on Clays tonight. It was everybody was fine. It was very passionate. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. If you give me that in writing, that'd be great, even if it's a dog-eared, I don't care.
that's what it's gonna be on them.
Madam President, have you taken this all in?
They've come up with some good thoughts. I don't really have mine together tonight. I have to give it to you later.
All right. What do you, I'm just curious, your initial thoughts on the HR position. Is something you've thought about as town manager?
I really haven't given it that much thought, and I don't think we know of anything that we're specifically doing wrong, but it would be something that Jennifer Hardy spends an appreciable amount of time.
Personnel?
And I think she has enough on her plate.
She's
with
pretty
other
important.
stuff. I think we need
Yeah.
to, well, it
Finance.
needs to be something kind of in its, like DC, in its own territory. As to where everybody has an issue, they come to this one point. Like if somebody has a problem with Philip, who are they going to?
Right. Philip, I have a problem
But it's
with
for
you.
everybody. I just use you as an example.
Right, or anybody, right, like I said, y'all have given me plenty of food to thought, to put a list together, and, I'm just gonna try to facilitate it, but certainly these are your goals, and if something you feel needs to be, I think broadband is something we're all gonna agree it's gonna be on the list. But, and I like, Christina, and I wanna apologize, we went to that conference back in June, and we discussed a possible retreat. And we've had a good, 5 months together. Wind's been kind of at our back, but tonight we had some good. We mixed it up a little bit tonight, which is fine. But I think maybe we do need to go off site and have a discussion about 5-year, 10-year, that sort of thing.
I'll bring the grill.
That's right.
You'll bring the what?
The grill.
Oh, okay.
The grill.
All right.
Any other issues tonight? I'm sorry it took so long, folks, but I think every minute was well spent tonight. I really do. I thank y'all. This meeting will be continued.
No, because we have a meeting Monday.
Got a meeting Monday.
I'll adjourn this one. Adjourn this at 9:12. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Hey, Billy.
Yay.
I am,
Hey, Mel.
gone from